What did you say? Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So you got to talk into this thing properly.
I can see.
Joe Rogan style. Is it recording or what?
Safe sound of the beach, take one.
Just messing with the buttons here.
That's what she said we should do.
Who's that like talking to us? Are you hearing anything over there? This is just to start the Friday off.
Yeah.
And
Good one. I feel like a commentator.
I would love to be just in Copenhagen right now. Just
where?
at Copenhagen, sitting on a beach, listening to this music.
I'd
Chilling.
definitely like to be a bit warmer.
Sure.
So anyway, we're here, we're at the Lekker store, we're on to another podcast, and today I have really, really cool guests, one of them being my brother. I've been really wanting to get him behind the mic again since the first episode, and also the fifth when he was chatting with his wife. He's in Holland for a little bit, so we're grabbing the opportunity to get him back on live. We love his voice, we love what he has to say, we love his sporadic behavior. And he's here with a friend of his that he met 16 years ago, and they met at Jeppe Boys High School. Tyron was doing a teaching job, and Dean came in to do a student teaching job, and they met in 2009, 2008. So they are long time friends. So I thought it'd be really lekker if we had Tyron and Dean coordinate this podcast and have a lekker chat just like they have been doing for the past hour while I was setting up outside. Chatting. So much to, and they've already seen each other before this. So just goes to show that South Africans, we connect for lifetimes with each other. And Dean's also got a long time in the Netherlands, been here since 2014, so 10 years now, Dean.
Yeah, 10 years.
And I'd love to just explore his stories of why he left, where he is now, what he's doing, what he loves, what he doesn't love, how he's progressed in the last 10 years by being here. And I think the best person to do this would be Tyron. So welcome Tyron and welcome Dean.
Thanks. We'll take it from here.
Gracias. Thanks, sister. Thanks a lot. Okay. How's it going, my brother? You well?
Sorry about that. Good, no, all good.
Nice.
Appreciate the opportunity to be here and speak on the podcast with you. I'm sure we'll have some interesting stuff to say.
Yeah, listen, it's first for me that I'll be hosting a show like this, but it's pretty awesome that my sister's got this going while I've been away. I've been able to see her get the filming going now, like the last 3 or 4 episodes, and it's just really added such a better element to the podcast where you can actually see people and see the expressions and understand where they are, and maybe even check how the people have aged. Because I know when we post this, I know a lot of the buddies from back home will be thinking, what's happened to the sim dog? Where is he? What's happened? What? So before I asked you what's happened, you can tell us a little bit, Dee, but at the end of the day, whatever you want to share about how's the upbringing, where's it been, where did you start, and how did you get here?
Well, it's I think it's a good one. Maybe I'll just give a quick breakdown as to even what got me into Europe, basically. It actually all started back in, I'd say, August 2013. I got a call from a hockey coach that coached me in some international school hockey stuff a few years prior to that. And he actually asked me to head over to Ireland with him to play in the team that he was coaching. That actually fell through, and I got another offer, and I ended up going to Belgium. to do a bit of coaching and play some hockey in professional sort of setting and scene there. And my wife, who was actually a person that I just met, ended up marrying her, and that kind of got me into Europe. And we sort of she's actually Dutch, and she was playing hockey at the same club that I'd been contracted to play for, and she was actually just studying in. She was actually studying in Ghent in Belgium. She was just playing hockey at the club, so I ended up coaching her a little bit as well. Only a couple of useless British guys that didn't actually want to coach before the game. So
Okay.
That was a little bit about that. So yeah, that's actually what got me here. I guess the rest is history. We had obviously decisions. Do we start in SA? I think, or do we, start in the Netherlands? I think it was always a case of starting in the Netherlands first, because any South African would know the rand is not necessarily the easiest, so it was always going to be easier to start here and move back there if need be. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah, but also I think it also from her point of view, it's a bit of a culture shock as a young lady growing up in Europe, and just the way things are organised here, and the way, no disrespect to back home, but equality is a real thing over here. And as a young lady now, she must go back to South Africa, and she must try to live there in South Africa with some of our crazy guys. It would be just too much, And you look at the lifestyle in the Netherlands, it's not a very car-based environment. A car's bonus. I know Rotterdam and The Hague, there's more times that you will use your car, but still you have your bicycle, you have your tram, you have your train, you have your bus. It's all going everywhere, and it's not a classist vibe around here. I noticed on some of my travels, like in the States, if you catch a bus, you're a perk. When you catch a bus, you jump on the bus and there's just perks around you. Well,
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? That sort of vibe. Whereas in the Netherlands, that's not the case.
I mean, to be honest with you, I steer clear of buses as far as possible. Every now and then you have to pop on one just because your bike, you get to another station because the train is cancelled. But
Exactly.
That's probably the problem you have to deal with, right? But you're not a poor oak if you're catching a bus. But I think I caught a bus once in my whole life.
In SA, no, but
my grand took me, and that was before,
Listen, in SA, I was still going to, in high school in Jeppe, 1996, 97, 98.
Even your age away,
96, 97, 98, I used to catch a bus home, Jewel Street, bro.
Yes.
Jewel Street, all the way down Malvern. And then, I would stop in Witchwood and I'd have to hop out there and walk down the road. But I tell you now, think about it. It used to be like, I don't know if there was a guy named David Curl. I don't know if the guys that are watching remember this guy, David Curl. He ended up representing South Africa in wheelchair basketball. But he was an animal at school. He was all good. There was nothing wrong with his legs back then. But as we used to run down to Jewel Street, just take 5 minutes to get down to Jewel Street, sprint down there, try catch a bus, and then get home. And now you think of it now, that would not even happen. I don't even know if buses go down Jules anymore. I don't reckon it happens.
Nah, I don't think so, to be honest. I think the only buses that are going is probably Langeman.
That's
Roberts.
Roberts Lane Marathon.
And I wouldn't hop on a bus there either.
Nah.
Just wow. Wow, for what?
But when last you go back home?
It was a good question. I was back in August. It was actually my book's 30th birthday, so I went popped in. I had to handle a couple of admin bits and pieces.
Happy birthday to the raw dog.
No. I actually had to, probably a good one to just jump. I had to actually sort out my license and get it renewed because, I'm not a massive fan. I believe government's not listening in yet. Not a fan. I'm not taking that whole process of doing this whole Dutch
license. My sister tells me about the headaches.
It's expensive. It's painful. It's not practical. It's a painful process. So.
Nah.
But I was back in August. I was a couple of weeks. Spent a little bit of time in the bush in Waterberg.
Yeah.
It was like, it was a bit cold, a bit dry. It was actually very dry. Joburg and the bush was a bit dry.
Yeah, August, driest time to go back.
Yeah, exactly. But it was really just time with family, and obviously now that I've got some kids, for the grandparents, it's great for them to
Amazing
to see the lighties,
Yeah, incredible. You think about it. 2014 was the last time we were in SA together. I was running 141 pub on Queen Street, 141 Queen Street, with Chad Esthazen and Devon, his cousin, and you. And it was, I think about how mental that year was, and how life was, and how South Africa was, and how our thoughts were, and what we were thinking our life was going to be. I remember it was when I don't mean to laugh, but President Nelson Mandela passed away. God rest his soul. But there was that deaf guy, that guy that went up there and made like he was actually a sign language dude. And he wasn't. He was an imposter, complete. Didn't even know what he was doing.
He was just, I remember that. Actually.
But he got to stand right next to Barack Obama. Barack Obama had come from America, and this guy was standing next to him, signing, and he didn't even know what he was doing.
Great.
I remember sitting there, watching
South
that
Africans,
stuff.
you can't take him anywhere.
It's just incredible when I think back. To that. But then you bounced. You know, then you came here to the Netherlands, and you'd be in and out of South Africa every now and then.
Yeah, I was sort of 3 months in, 3 months out. So yeah, I was kind of going. It was a tough time. It was winter to winter. So that was pretty.
So you're missing South African summer to summer.
Yeah, other than December, because obviously there's the winter stop. But I was doing the initial part of winter, and then a couple of months off, and then I would spend 2 months of December and early Jan, and then back for the end of winter, and then back into winter in SA.
And you did that for what, 3 years until you got your passport, or was it just?
Yeah, so it was. I played in Belgium for the 2013-14 season. Then I stayed in the UK. On the
Yes,
south
I remember
coast.
that. Where though? By the Hove.
Like between Brighton and Southampton, a place called Chichester or Chai.
Chai.
But basically like a retirement village, but like in a city.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of old people go there and retire. But it was at the beach, you know, not a nice beach, stony beach.
English.
Exactly. But also again, winter to winter stories, and then I played one more season. Then I played another season in the Netherlands as well, where I was still sort of going back and forth. And then that fourth year, I was sort of officially moved to the Netherlands. Obviously, moving for love, you have to get a whole lot of ducks in a row and whatever, being on the good old green mamba passport. So once all that got sorted and put together, then I officially moved here. And then, I guess then that's when life really started in the Netherlands, back in Rotterdam.
And the thing is, when I chat with the guys back home, loads of the guys that chat with me, and, they check us here in Europe, and they're like, they're bastards, they've left us, and, they leave us here in Africa, and it looks like they're just loving life, and life's lekker. But, explain to those about how you kicked off here. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbow.
Oh man, I can remember actually the first 3 months was probably the toughest actually. I think it was mostly because I was struggling to find a job. I think that was the toughest thing. Not because there's a lack of jobs. I think that's actually one really positive thing about Europe in general. There's lots of jobs, right?
Yep.
But the problem is living in the Netherlands, speaking English. You need
especially back then.
Yeah, back then, I think that's quite a tricky thing. And when I came here, actually, I think I spent like 500 euros to do some Dutch courses. Like I was doing 3 hours a day for 2 weeks. That gave me, that was tough, but that really gave me a basis to be able to learn to speak the language. And I primarily did that to find a job. And ironically, when I first, one of the coaches of a ladies team that was from my club, he actually offered me a job that was fully Dutch speaking. They'd been there for 3 months, like I couldn't speak Dutch, and this was going to be like on the phone speaking in Dutch to customers. Like,
oh man,
that was ridiculous. And I think 2 days later,
did you try?
Well, actually, I got offered. I was about to sign and take the job, and then one of my hockey teammates, he was working for a sort of small startup that was actually looking for an English-speaking sales executive for the UK. Based in Rotterdam, and there was a little bit more pay and an English job, right? So
huge.
It was a no-brainer to sign there. And ironically, my boss at the time, he's the sports minister of the Netherlands now.
Oh wow, the boss at that time then.
Yeah.
I remember you said to me that guy was pretty switched on.
Yeah, dude, I've never seen a guy who works harder. He was. I think for that first year, he was probably still full hands in the company. The second year that I worked there, he was actually doing some political stuff. After hours, so like 5 until 11 p.m.
And now he's the sports minister of the country.
He's the sports minister of the Netherlands.
We're going to have a chat after this, brother. We're going to have a little chat.
I haven't mentioned him.
Oh man, but it changes lives.
Good mates of mine, actually. But we can tell you a bit more about that after this. But
you got your kickoff with him. He got you going.
And it was probably the lucky hockey got me there. It was literally through a teammate who actually left that club, and now we play in the same club at a different, in the same team at a different club. And a lot of people that were playing in that previous team that were taking hockey a bit more seriously then, actually play in my team. So hockey has been the lifesaver for me.
Things I can tell you that I tell you, South African people, we can say what we like, and but a metaphor for life. This whole thing, it's all about team. It's all team. I remember when we were working 1-for-1, when we were at Jeppe together, we always spoke about team selflessness, putting other people first, grafting hard, putting the team ahead of yourself. And it comes back to you because, when I was working at 1-for-1, it was a no-brainer for me to get you involved there because you were the guy that I could trust. You were a teammate of mine, always wanted the same thing for me, and you put the team first. So it was a no-brainer. It's crazy how then you come over to the Netherlands and you're about to get signed up into some Dutch job, which people must know as a Jeppe Oak, Afrikaans is bad enough. And I must roll in
Maximum
this.
42% there.
Yes, but and then you must know, and then you got these Oaks tuning you over here, maar and echt, and so just before you're about to kick off, then another teammate gives you a buzz and says, "Listen, pal, come graft."
There's a thing, yeah.
And how long did you? How long were you with him? What was the progression like there? Because I remember when I came over for cricket, you were already with that guy.
Yeah, no, hundreds. So I worked there for 2.5 years actually, and that was the way that I describe it is like Tinder for jobs, right? So basically it was like a swiping platform like Tinder. Basically you put your profile in, and then it would match students with jobs. So they, instead of the student looking for a job, the job would actually match their preferences. So it was a little bit of a backwards sort of way of thinking, at least for job seekers. Sort of worked there for a couple of years, selling primarily into the UK. So actually I was in and out of the UK a lot, just doing customer meetings, a lot of law firms.
And were they still Euro vibe back then? The Brexit hadn't happened yet.
Yeah, the Brexit hadn't happened yet. But
they were chatting about it.
I think the referendum had
been done, but they hadn't kicked it in yet.
Yeah, and that took obviously a couple of years to
yes,
sort. But yeah, and I was still on a South African passport on a Dutch residency at the time.
Okay, so you were rolling over the little card every time you were in and out of UK.
Yeah, I actually had to get a British visa actually.
Okay, in your SA in the green
passport.
mamba.
Yeah, exactly. And I popped
it
in
cost
there.
bucks.
Well, I mean the company was paying.
Oh, happy days.
So that was alright. Yeah, and then I was in and out of there, and that got me into sales really. Which kind of stuck in sales now, but that's alright. And but it was a tough start. Probably learned a hell of a lot at that organization. I think it was a good place to start, and it was a small team. I mean, it was probably 30 employees or so it was family vibes.
Yeah.
But a good start, learned a lot, and gave me, I would say the basis to sort of crack things off in the Netherlands and really get going, right? And obviously, brings me to where I am now.
Now, when you were leaving that job, did the pandemic have anything to do with you leaving that job, or did you graft through the pandemic, or when did you get the new one?
Yeah, so there was it. Like I put my blood, sweat, and tears. Like most South Africans do. People know South Africans put their blood.
But especially here in sales, if you get a little bit of a commission like boost, okay, hang on, pal, there's some proper incentive.
Yeah, no, I think there were some challenges. The organization, I was working in a very Dutch-minded company, selling into the UK, and there was limitations, right, to what we were doing, what we were offering, right. I think the problem was that there wasn't enough students on our platform to offer enough hires for the companies we were actually selling into. Once I realized that it wasn't, I wasn't fulfilling the sales targets well enough, I decided, I'm going to move. I'm going to get out of here. So I actually just applied for another job at in sales, also in Rotterdam, close by. I managed to land a job in e-commerce, so that's like a platform that does like a website integrations with ERP systems, very technical. It was good, also learnt a lot there. Did that for, I think, 2 years. And then, it was just a ridiculous company. Like, they set targets that were unattainable. They were putting people on, like, what do they call these things? PIPs, performance improvement plans. Yeah,
that's as a salesperson, that's just giving you short-term heart attack, because if you don't do that, you're gone.
Yeah. So at that point, I was like, I'm done. And then actually a colleague that worked with me at that company, he had gone to this company that I currently work for, and he introduced me, and within a week I had a job. And I've been there for just gone 3 years now.
And this company is a Dutch company?
So, yes and no. So it's actually an American organization, massive platform. I think there's over 30 million people signed up to our platform.
Wow.
Probably all the top organizations across the globe that are in tech, like Facebook, Deloitte, all these kinds of companies use our tool. And yeah. No, it's so I work in the EMEA headquarters, which is in Amsterdam, and that primarily focuses on the commercial side of things for the whole of Europe and Africa, basically, which is really, really cool because I actually get to speak to South Africans as well very often, and sell to them.
Amazing.
And it's interesting because there's other people who have tried to sell into South Africa, but they just can't.
They can't because they're not South African.
Yeah, they don't know. They don't. Also,
South Africans don't trust.
They don't understand the rand.
No.
Like you can always talk to them like they're paying in USD, right? And like I know it hurts, right? I know there's 25%. There's 25% in. That's probably too much for you. So like, and I've told the organization like it's not going to work. You need to help.
You need to get because the purchasing power is just not there.
It's not the same. Like. So yeah, and then obviously I sell it a lot, still into the UK, but everything's remote. I don't have to travel. It's great, other than going to the office a couple of times a week from Rotterdam to Amsterdam, which is probably I would say honestly the shittest thing about my job. Traveling in and out, trains, the rush.
And you speak to South African guys, so what would you rather do? Get in your car every morning, roll down to the robot, watch out just in case the oak wants some cash from you. Watch out he doesn't break your window or something.
The oaks don't want to wash your window.
They want to wash your window.
They're spraying it from like 30 meters
Jeez,
away.
and God help you, some oak wants to get out and hit him, and then it's a big fight. And then you roll into work. I don't know. I think I would, even though it was only twice a week and it's a bit of a shit one, as if you told any South African Joe, you're going to ride into Amsterdam twice a week, it's going to be the shittest party a week. He's going to be like, okay, no worries. How long is it going to take? 30 minutes on a warm train. Happy days. Can I stay afterwards, have a bit of a coffee or something? I think a lot of this stuff is very exciting, but the novelty wears off, and it still becomes life. Amsterdam is just another city. That's where your job is. I remember for 5 years I'd tell people I'm living in the Netherlands, and then they would tell each other, oh, everybody would think I was living in Amsterdam. I've never ever lived in Amsterdam. I've stayed in Utrecht or the surrounding suburbs of Utrecht or The Hague. Never in Amsterdam, but South Africans or...
I think it's a global thing. I think people just think...
They think Amsterdam's Holland.
Yeah, exactly, and even Holland is not what you think it is.
No, it's the Netherlands.
Yeah,
you said it's Dutch people, Holland, they get upset.
Holland is
the province.
Is Utrecht. Well, it's a few actually, but it's The Hague, Rotterdam, Utrecht, and Amsterdam. That's Holland. But anything outside of that's not Holland.
Exactly, you're right.
But yeah, people do indeed think that you think Amsterdam's like the country. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just really a tourist place. Like, it's crazy busy. There's loads of people from all over the globe there. And to be honest, I don't even think that Amsterdam is really typically Dutch anymore. Like, you walk into a restaurant, like people are just speaking to you
completely,
in English,
or Italian,
hey,
or
what would you like?
Yeah,
like,
100%.
I mean, I live in Rotterdam, and you go to a restaurant, people will still ask you. The initial is straight into Dutch.
Yeah, 100%. Same as The Hague, straight into Dutch.
And I think here in Utrecht as well.
Utrecht, straight into Dutch. There is the odd places where there's a couple of students working, but it's not like Amsterdam, exactly what you say. Something like, I was reading something up about Amsterdam, I don't know the exact figure, but it's something like 163 different nationalities that are living there. So it's not even like it's a couple like Greeks, Italians, and Spanish oaks. No. From all over the world, and they've decided to live there. So it's a multicultural city, and I think it's one of the most beautiful cities. I honestly think it's wonderful. It just gets too busy, and it gets a bit too chaotic. So, anyway, getting back to now, so in and out of Amsterdam twice a week, happy days. When you're in Rotterdam, you're working from home. What else you doing? You told me there's a couple of South Africans around you. What else? You're playing hockey? What's happening? Summertime, what you doing?
Yeah, so, I mean, winter I'm pretty busy, right? Working five days a week, and then twice a week hockey, and then obviously hockey at the weekend. But I also have kids, right? So that's keeping me relatively busy as well, keeping me up at night as well.
Yes, but
yeah, it's also it takes time and energy, but it gives back, right? And so that's kind of it. And then summer's a bit more chilled, right? Like it's a great time to be in the Netherlands. People are just happier. The sun's out. Everybody's 100%. Wearing shorts, t-shirts. It's great, and it's a hard time to work in summer, I think.
Yeah.
Not only because people are on holiday, but just because
you want to be on holiday. You want to go.
It's easy to be inside when it's like it is today. It's cold, a bit rainy, grey. It's very easy to work. But I think people from SA also know, like, midsummer when it's 35 outside, it's like
You just want to go
just
outside.
take
bro.
it easy. You
Yeah,
don't
you
have to
wanna
work hard,
relax.
but unless you're in an air-conditioned office, which I'm alright, thanks.
Yeah, but listen, back home, you're hitting a braai, you're also playing pool cricket, also got some sport on the telly. Someone's going to go watch something. It's just, the summer in South Africa is just unbelievable, but we're blessed. It's
You can do
6,
that in
7
winter.
months.
Yeah,
you can do it.
You can have your bra. You can stay outside.
You can do whatever you want. Yeah, it's a real thing.
Yeah, I mean,
People over here, I used to think the people in the Netherlands were the most, and I still do, some of the most productive people I've ever met in my life. We think in South Africa we got a good work ethic. Yeah, we got a good work ethic when we come to the Netherlands and we converting our rands to euros. Then we graft.
but
Yeah,
you also
lekker,
know
lekker.
that limit. I think you also know that limit. Like when do you have to work hard? When?
Exactly.
But here it's non-stop.
No, these guys, they
it's-
go.
It's the rat race.
They don't stop.
It's the
Work
rat race.
hard, play hard. They're going full on. The only time you'll find a shop closed in the Netherlands, Monday morning till 12 o'clock in Utrecht. Otherwise, Sunday night's pace is pumping.
Pumping, yeah.
Tuesday night his pace is pumping. Like, it doesn't stop. But when winter's around, everything's pumping indoors.
Hundreds.
It doesn't mean it's not pumping, but it's pumping indoors. Summertime, as soon as that sun's up, if it's not raining, everybody's out. They're going, they're riding, they're swimming, they're doing something with bottle.
But hundreds, and I've actually, it's an interesting thing that you bring up there, and being inside is like, I just think about my upbringing, and I compare that to what my kids are going through at the moment. It's like, I tried to explain this to my mother-in-law the other day, and I was like, yeah, okay, but you know, kids are playing inside. It's raining. No one wants to be outside when it's raining. Like half the winter you're inside. And I was just thinking, I was a lighty, I'd be outside. We'd be playing cricket. we'd be
Non-stop.
kicking a soccer ball in the garden.
Non-stop outside, but
Maybe we'd be watching TV late in the afternoon after, just before supper or something. But like, it would be your playtime is 90% of the year is outside. Even in the middle of winter, like you would be outside. Maybe on the coldest day you might stay inside. But like my kids don't get that.
it's
I'm trying to
mad.
keep them busy in the house. I have like a 26 square meter sort of living room area, like 2 kids in there.
And then you got to also
Wrestle
limit the
Mania.
time. Limit the time that they watch the telly. Limit the time they watch their iPad. And then, okay, you're allowed to go. And now you got to play with each other. And they hope they don't kill each other. But
yeah.
I don't know. Listen, that's something that I think about a lot, because I've got my little niece and my godson that are over here at the moment. But I'll tell you one thing, that they're a little bit older than your lighties, and so they're in the school system. Yeah, they flash into it, and besides the fact that they both praat in taal, yeah, they're speaking echte Nederlands.
Praat in die taal.
Yeah, they're speaking echte Nederlands. It's ridiculous, but almost every day they've got activities. They're either going to dancing, they're going to swimming, they've got soccer. These oaks are buzzing. So you know what? I will give them credit that even though the weather's garbage,
Yeah.
they still make a plan.
No,
They
there's
make a
things-
plan.
There's things turning out, no doubt about it. I mean, my lights goes to swimming Saturdays as well. But yeah, it's just not it's different.
No. So the thing is, we can get back into South Africa now. We can think of all the positives. You've been to South Africa more recently than I have. I was out of there last year, the 14th of Jan. So I haven't been there for almost a year now. Missing it a lot. But you think about Europe. If we had to, what are the best things about being here? Yes, it's garbage that we are sitting indoors a lot and it's raining and it's cold. But what's the best things about living here?
There's a good couple of things. I think one thing that I know for sure is that if shit hits the fan, I'm gonna be taken care of. And what I mean by shit hits the fan, right? Let's just say, for example, I get fired tomorrow, my wife gets fired, or let's just say I lose my leg. I don't know, God forbid. Touch wood.
God forbid.
If anything like that should happen, like I will be taken care of. Yeah, I've been pumping taxes for the last 10 years into the system, but best believe those taxes are coming back to me. And I know that that I will be taken care of no matter what. Like whatever it would be. I think that's probably one of the greatest things. It's safe, it's organized, and it's well put together. And the system is built to help people and make sure that everybody lives in a comfortable fashion, and that it's equal for the vast majority of the people.
100%. What about travel?
You mean like traveling outside?
Well, think about it, we're basically situated in the center of the world. If you look at the Netherlands, there's a big reason why Schiphol Airport probably has the most direct flights than any other airport in the whole world. And you look at the position. It's in the center of everything. Like, it's 6 hours to Miami. It's 6 hours to Dubai,
10 hours back home.
10 hours back home. You know, it's 6 hours to India. I know I work with a lot of Indian and Pakistani because they reckon it's not too far.
Rest of Europe's close by. We're in the heart of Europe.
Portugal
UK is
tomorrow,
just
it's
over
3
the pond
hours.
Hour to centre London.
Hour to sit, and London's like a Durban flight. It's like as you go up, you go back down.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so the travel's pretty cool. And then if you're working while you're and you're earning some good cash, the purchasing power is better than the rand. You can't even describe it. Honestly, the rand is what gives you heartache when you're over here. The rand is what busts your nuts when you're buying a steak and you're literally seeing the price come and it's 28 euro and it's garbage and you're cutting into it and your tears are coming out your eyes because you're thinking this is 560 rand. If I had 560 rand, I could have bought 2 people great steaks.
But I went to what was that thing? The butcher. What's it? The butcher shop and grill in Cape Town, and I think it's Sea Point. It was, I think, I paid 20 euros. It was 20 euros per person. That's what it equated to. Probably the best steak I ever had, and had dops with that as well. It was like.
Well, that's the thing. Alcohol over here is ridiculous prices. But yeah, so if I think about back home, there's a lot of things I do miss. But there's a big reason, like I don't want to go live there at the moment, and I don't want to get into the negatives because the guys back home don't need to hear the negatives. They know it. They're living it. They're feeling it every day.
I think that's actually something that I do miss is that humor when things go wrong. I don't know if you know this, but like something bad can happen, and then 2 hours later, just making a joke out of it.
Yeah, South African accent making a joke out of it.
Make a joke out of this cuck, you know, like.
There's always a joke made out of load shedding when load shedding was happening. There's a joke made out of Eskom every 5 minutes. There's a joke made out of everything.
Yeah.
Is it still happening? You're lying. It happened yesterday, load shedding. Yeah, wailer.
No, man. I don't understand.
Yeah, listen, the thing
actually, that was nice of it, done. You could just switch off and, I don't know, light a fire.
Yeah, but in South Africa, yeah, but then you got to worry about your electric fence still working, pal. Because at the end of the day, everybody knows that it's gone off, and now they want what you have. So listen, I don't want to sound like a bitter guy that's left because of crime or whatever, but at the end of the day, I feel for South African people that are back home. The one thing I would do if I was a billionaire, if I was Elon Musk, and I had a little bit of balls, and even though he cries every day about I almost got killed by guys in Pretoria boys, they beat me up. I don't care, but I went to Jeppe, the same shit happened to us. But if I had that much money, I would go and fix South Africa in 6 months. 6 months.
Hundreds. You wouldn't give any money to the government.
I wouldn't be crying about sucking Donald's dong. I would go back to South Africa and help South Africa. It would be quick sticks, but his father still lives there. His sister and brother, I don't know where they live, but I know his father still lives there. And gee whiz, I know there's the people in South Africa could use a little bit of help. Just with Starlink alone, just with Tesla alone. I know the infrastructure is miles off. But my word, I'm sure you can bribe a couple of African leaders and make it all work properly there because the safety alone is just not right.
It's interesting that you bring this up. I've thought about this, like, how much money would you need? You probably wouldn't even need that much. You just, I think the one thing...
Especially when you're converting to the rand, bro.
I think the one thing that just deters people from, like, moving back is like, load shedding. I mean, that's a random thing. Like, I mean, you can deal with that, right? Like, that's just infrastructure. But, like, I think the one thing that really deters people is like the safety. And I think about like, you know, typically my kids, right? Like my wife is Dutch. Like she doesn't know what we know. She doesn't know like where you can and she doesn't know like what's safe and what's not safe. You know, I mean, obviously we grew up with that kind of thing. And I think just knowing that, I think, you know, if that could be sorted, I mean, it's almost a no-brainer.
It could be the best country in the world.
Why would I not want to be in the sun?
Best country in the world, best weather in the world, best people in the world, but also the shittest people in the world, and can also be the shittest government. And you know what? At the end of the day, God help us sort it out. Let's just leave that in the back there and move on. Yeah, well, you know.
But lots of good stuff as well.
So okay, we think about Holland. So there's a couple of things that, if you just listen to the way we're talking here, it's a lot easier for us to talk to each other because firstly we understand each other. We don't have to worry about, you know, dotting our I's and crossing our T's. In the Netherlands, there's a whole bunch of different things happening. Besides the fact that English is a second official language, it's also probably the country in Europe that has probably the best command of the English language. They're brilliant with it, although they do sound a bit American, which is a bit garbage. But you know, you get over it. What are the expressions that you've picked up here in the Netherlands? Because your Dutch is brilliant. So, what are the expressions you pick up? What are the things you like about the language? Because we were all South African English boys from Jeppe. We hated Afrikaans. Mrs. Grace was the only reason why we passed Afrikaans. Mrs. Grace was the greatest Afrikaans teacher in the world.
Remember Mr. Lowe popping a bit of...
Mr. Lowe and
Mr.
Mr.
Lowe,
Wessels,
Mr. Lowe
Skilpad.
popping a little shots of Brahmins in his coffee in the morning.
And Skilpad, Mr. Wessels, we used to call him Skilpad, the turtle. But you know what, at the end of the day, all the Afrikaans teachers were on Rocky Street there.
No, they knew. They were getting us over the line.
But they got us over the line.
Yeah, for sure.
Now you speak echt Nederlands. And so what's the things that you enjoy the most? The language, chuck in the language, give us some food, and give us some music maybe if it even adds to it. It's platteland, yeah. It's all flat. It's all flat.
Honestly, none of those things.
Nothing.
No, I think having a command in the language, that's lekker. Because I think it puts you in a different position when you're speaking with people, right? Like I literally just don't speak Dutch at home, and I don't speak Dutch at the workplace. But as soon as I leave home, I'm going to, I don't know, restaurant, whatever. I'm speaking Dutch with the Dutch people. Outside of my wife, I only speak Dutch with her family, like her brothers or my brother-in-law. The grandmother, her father, like we literally speak only Dutch. So yeah, I'm not
At
sure.
least it is a bit of a balance. You practice there and then
Yeah, exactly. And then the
keep it fresh.
Yeah, the art and also my hockey team, like it's just
Dutch oak.
10 of the Dutch guys, and I'm the only oak that's English. But we only speak Dutch in that setting. So, and yeah, they have a laugh at me every now and then on dumb shit that I say in Dutch, but it is what it is, and they know, and I think they appreciate that I try, right? So
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. To be honest with you, the food here is
Nah. It's too much sweet food, bro. You know, I checked the houses for a stat. I was looking up the other day, which country in the world consumes the most eggs per capita, most person per egg sort of thing. Holland consumes more eggs than any other country. Then I think to myself, doesn't make sense.
how's it work?
I'm looking for English breakfasts. I'm looking for where's the eggs. I don't see eggs.
It's baking.
It's all the baking, but it's all the waffles. It's all the pannekoek. It's all that stuff. They love it, but they love it.
I mean, to be fair, I do enjoy.
Gezellig.
I do enjoy a good old what are they? Bitterganen too. That's like that's bitterballen and some sort of fried.
Croquette, what?
Croquettes and fried snacks basically. But typically speaking, we do that like after hockey training with a drink after training or a game or whatever, because that's just how they do it. That's lekker for them.
Yeah. It's their bra. It's their bra and beer.
Let's not go there.
Also,
Actually,
what about Dutch hospitality stuff?
I've got a good story. So it was one of my hockey mates invited me over to King's Day, which is a big. I love this day. I probably love King's Day more than my own birthday. It's just a festive day. Everybody's in a good mood.
Yes.
It's to celebrate either the king or queen, depending.
It's the same day as Freedom Day in South Africa.
So yeah, 27th of April, I think it is. And yeah, we normally head over to Amsterdam, but probably less so since I've had kids. Obviously a bit more tricky, but yeah, it's chaos, it's busy, but everybody's happy, everybody's just drinking, everyone puts a backpack on, a couple of beers in, and I don't know, spend a couple of bucks. But I got invited to a hockey teammate to actually come and have he called it a barbecue.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's painful, but it is what it is. He just lit the bra. It was a Weber, proper big Weber bra. Filled that thing with charcoal, like packed to the rafters, lit it. 2 minutes later, he decides, I'm putting the chicken wings on there.
What's going on?
Closed the lid. 30 seconds later, he basically the chicken was charcoal as well. So it burns.
Of course it burns.
He
What
had
an
no
idiot.
clue.
Didn't have a clue.
And actually, my butt was here at that time, and he's like, you just stop doing that. he took over. My brother just lifted the grill with some gloves and he poured it straight into a fucking black bag. But I mean, that just shows that they just don't get it.
They don't know how to cook their food.
Nah, and to be honest, like going through Dutch cuisine, I mean, like stampot. That's like mashed potatoes and
broccoli.
And like or Brussels sprouts that are mashed into with like a Vienna.
With a Vienna, I know, bro.
A smoked Vienna. I'm just like, that's just not a meal.
No, so when I was living here, they used to have that stampot, but then they also used to have the other one that used to have the 2 meatballs with it. So I used to buy the mix, and then I'd have the stampot with the meatballs. But I tell you now, there's a reason why there's no Dutch rugby side dominating the world.
Not enough.
Like, these oaks don't eat properly. Yeah, but I've just lost weight since I've been here. You just lose weight because you're surviving on coffee because it's so damn cold, and they chuck you some food. They're throwing you some bitterballen and some croqueta. The biggest thing that fills them up is maybe some frit or something. Frit with mayo.
I think it's also very bread heavy.
They love it. Kaas broodje. Oh, man.
Like, I'm just like...
And toasted cheese, yeah. Toasted cheese sandwiches, no butter, eh? No butter. Rich country, don't want to use butter. No. No.
I'll have to support my wife. I mean, she does. But typically speaking, no. It's the thing.
They love it dry.
The
But
thing is
yes.
Drive and gun is flip.
What? It is proper dry.
No, hundreds. Actually, to moisten it up, they actually put tomato sauce on top.
Yes.
It's a weird thing. Like,
Strange,
did
bro.
you ever toast you with a tomato sauce on top?
On top, you know, why don't you put it inside, guys? We don't want to make like someone's bleeding here.
Nah, but I like often it's like you have bread. It's like toast and then maybe some kaas. Always cheese on the fucking
Yeah,
thing.
brother, kaas, bro, they love
and
it.
And then at lunchtime it's a sandwich, and it's like I've stopped eating bread now.
Yeah.
I'm done with that.
Hey,
I can't eat bread for breakfast, lunch, and then it's possible that it could happen for dinner as
it
well.
could have another sandwich. Another sandwich.
Not in my house. Not in my house. Yeah. Not in my house.
Listen, my nana and opa, Dutch grandparents, they lived at my family's house, my parents' house in Joburg for 31 years of my life. And every morning when I'd visit my family and I'd go visit my opa and my nana, they lived right, like it was an interjoining house, so I'd walk into their lounge and I'd have my nana making my opa a sandwich at 11 in the morning, just some toast or some bread, and then even sometimes have some hagelslag on it in the morning, bro.
No.
And then you're thinking,
Sugar
yeah,
for
it's just
breakfast.
chocolate to start the day. And then in the afternoon, exactly what you say, another sandwich. But now this time it doesn't have to be toast, because remember, toast just one off. In the afternoon, a proper sandwich. So maybe ham and cheese or whatever. And then in the evening, the one thing with my nana was, in the evening, she had some South African in her, no doubt. It was always meat, starch, vegetables. Meat, starch, vegetables, but proper meat, proper chops, proper everything. Yeah, whaler.
What's happening over here?
We're our first beggar rolling to the Lekker store. Where's he from? Where's he from? Dutch Oak.
He fights
Dutch
with the
Oak comes to
dustbin.
fight with it. See, even in the middle of winter, Oaks are going through a tough time, yeah.
Smokes too much Zol, that guy.
Even first world country, Oaks are having a tough time in the middle of winter,
Yeah,
yeah, but
but-
it's getting cold. It is cold, not getting, it is
But
cold.
again, you know, there's a place you can go to.
100%. That Oak, that's a difference. That Oak, he's just been trying to bust up a dustbin outside, yeah. And he is complaining about life. But he can go just down the road, yeah, pull out of his ID, so just needs a registration, just needs a passport or ID card. And he can go to any one of these houses down here, and they'll give him a warm meal, they'll give him a bed to sleep in. That even if he wants to,
Yeah.
even if he wants to shoot some heroin, they'll give him a new needle, and make sure they'll even test his heroin for him. That's how much they want to help people, yeah. But in my mind, it doesn't make sense to me where I love the fact they want to help, but sometimes I feel like they want to get you. Once they got you and they're helping you, now you better help them. So listen, if you're a good person, you live a good life, this is where you want to be. Life can be jolly. You just need to get your head around the weather.
No, yeah, for sure. And on that note, actually, I think that's probably a good segue into weather. I think that's always a topic that people are going to discuss when they've moved from South Africa, right? I always think about this, like now the weather doesn't actually bother me. Yeah, I still complain about it. Yeah, it's raining, and yeah, it's dark. Like I leave home in the morning, come back, it's dark, and not only because of the clouds, because there's limited amounts
The
of
sun
light.
doesn't come up, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Comes up at like 8:30 and it's down at 4:30. Like it's a dark day, and if it's cloudy, fucked.
Oh, bro.
But anyway, outside of that, like it took me probably 2 full years of living here to actually be like, okay, I just accept that this is what it is. You know, I still see people that come to the Netherlands and they're battling. Like I'm just
I'm battling, bro.
Stay patient. Gotta stay patient outside off there.
Brad, I tell you now, I have not been patient outside of once. The longest I've been in the Netherlands since I've moved over here has been 4 months at a time. I don't stay longer than 4. Last year I spent, I think, 4 months in Spain. I spent 4 or 5 months in Portugal. And then I spent 2 or 3 months here just trying to chase the sun again because I cannot deal with this. I'm going to Portugal tomorrow in Cascais, and don't know if I'm looking forward to listen to their Portuguese language. No diss to all the Poras out there. Sorry, Alvsy, Shawnee.
Shouldn't have done that. But
Georgie, Shawnee, sorry, boys. But my God, that language tough to listen to all the time. And then I miss Spanish. Spanish is lekker. But like I said, you saying be patient, I've struggled. And I've heard from my work colleagues that I work with, a couple of Pommies I work with, a couple of Kiwis I work with, and a couple of Aussies I work with. And they also reckon 2 years. 2 years, they reckon that your blood thickens. That somehow your blood thickens. And now you can handle winters more. So I don't know, maybe campfire stories. I don't know.
No, it's camping. I just remember it was like I was constantly cold. I don't know if you get that.
That's me, bro.
Like I used to be constantly cold, but like now I don't know if it's the fact that you actually start to feel the change of seasons, and sometimes actually, like on a day like today where the sun is out and it's actually sort of dry, it's okay.
I was going to say that to you.
It's crisp.
Because that's it, you can't be half asleep, eh? That's a big reason why the guys are productive out here. You walk outside, that cold air slaps you in the face.
Just have a couple of beers and then you
slaps you in the face, you slapped, and you off you go. There's no falling asleep. You got to go.
Oof.
Yeah, that's a bit. I was going to say a pepper steak or something. I wanted some proper food before I hit that thing. That's sweet. I'll go to sleep in 30 minutes. But
thanks.
So I wanted a question I wanted to ask you, okay, and how? So let's think about it. So there's a couple of guys that you know that are living over here. Mm-hmm. I know Duds de Preers over in Amsterdam somewhere.
He's in Rotterdam.
He's in Rotterdam now. I thought he was in Amsterdam. So Dudley lives in Rotterdam. I know Michael Elson.
He lives
younger brother Dean Elson, he lives in the north. I think Groningen.
Yeah, that's
Groningen, but it's a tech savvy place. Very much AR. Google's up there, I think. And self-driving cars. One of my cricket buddies lived up there near to work there.
I think it's a student. It's very student.
Very student oriented as well.
Very technical
almost like
thing.
North is Groningen, South is Maastricht.
But also like the people there are, it's a bit different.
Different people.
They're different. And
like Breakpan.
Actually, no. There's a park between. No, let me not say this. But I live in a place called Prinsenland, which is just on the edge of Rotterdam, basically.
Prinsenland.
And then there's a park in between a place called Het Laagland, which means the lowland.
Het Laagland, eh? So the lowland. Yeah.
But like this is like a 3 or 4 minute bicycle ride. But the people there, that's like Breakpan.
That's Breakpan, eh?
And there's a TV show in the Netherlands called the Tokkies. I call that place Tokkie Town. That's like Brakpan.
The Tokkie Town.
Explain what a Tokkie is.
I mean,
what is
for
Tokkies?
For South Africans,
Tokoloshi. Tokkie is a yappie.
Nah, it's like a very close to a Brakpan type. Cheap.
A commoner.
Yeah, commoner.
There we go.
But obviously, I think Brakpan is on a different level. I mean, these people still have bucks. You know what I mean?
Okay, listen.
They're just farmer vibes. You know.
I know Giovanni, my mate Giovanni, used to work in Brakpan. They have a lot of bucks, but it's all factories. And then the oaks that live there, they're terrible.
Gio, all the stories, but how's that oak do?
Jivy, I haven't spoken to Jiv since 2019, brother. 2019. I was at Jeppe Quandam. He was I think he went to Benny's and then he moved to that other Hillview. It was garbage. He was good mates with my buddy Marco Bonetti, and then.
No, wasn't it Eland's Park?
Could have gone to Donkey Tech. Donkey, baby. He went to Donkey Tech. But yeah, no, because he was very with his hands. Then he became good Chinas with Warwick Holder. And Warwick Holder's living by Jeppe Quandam there. Warwick's Hobbsy's best China. So Hobbsy's always visiting Warwick, and then he checks Jiv. And they're always chatting. But I don't see the Oaks anymore. I don't speak to the Oaks. I speak to Hobbsy every now and then.
That's actually one tough.
It's so tough. And the thing is, we've got no excuse because we've got no hour difference. It's not like our buddies that are in Oz or the Oaks in America. Then there's a problem. Then there's 8 hour difference. But the Oaks in South Africa, it's like they think, oh, fuck those Oaks.
I'm not sure actually how they think, bro.
I'm telling you, because I know sometimes I could also phone home more.
No, but I mean, I'll have it in a bit, thanks. Yeah.
I'll have a pepper steak pie, please.
I'll get a pepper. What do you want? Chicken, mushroom, pepper steak.
I'd have a pepper.
Thank God we're at the Lekker store. Yeah, pepper steak pie, chicken and mushroom, steak and kidney.
Yeah.
I was going to have one, but I thought, no, pepper steak. I want to open up the sinuses of it.
Yeah, pepper steak.
Yes, please.
What are they actually come back home, you think?
I don't know. I mean, I think about it now. Like, I probably just chat to one of my mates, Jermaine. You know Jermaine, obviously. I chat to my family and my
Very good
talkies.
man.
But outside of that, I don't hear from too many people. And ironically, I speak to Dil Coombs pretty often.
Where is he these
He's
days?
in Oz. He's living, I think it's Melbourne.
Wow.
He's moved over there with his family. He's had some challenges because obviously you move there and then you don't have your parents there. There's no one to help with the kids.
Nothing.
Like at least, my wife's here. And
Her family's
her
here.
family, so there's that help. So I think he's had a bit of a tough time, but I think he's found he's stable. They've got jobs, all that kind of things organized, and for greener pastures.
Yeah, good guy as well.
Great guy. But yeah, other than that, a couple of guys in the UK, St. John's boy, but Oaks from back home. Maybe I chat to Sevi every now and then.
What's the story there? What are the Oaks doing?
He just got married.
Yeah.
He's taken over his Toppy's business.
What was his Toppy's business?
He's doing he's on the machine, the lathes.
Yes.
Cutting metal.
That's what Jeff was doing. Jeff was also cutting stuff up there.
Cutting metal and whatever.
All those engineering companies,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Yeah.
Porto Engineer. I mean, it's ironic that you're heading off to Portland tomorrow.
Yeah, but I'm not going to Porto. I'm going to Lisbon, but I'm going south, just further, Cascais. My goodness. But anyways, Alvesy and them, he's running a restaurant down in Cape Town. So it's October, it was about August time this year. I'm sitting in my hotel room. I'm in Vienna. No, man. Yeah, I was in Vienna. I was in Vienna in Austria, and I get a phone call on Instagram from Alves. I'm like, what in God's name? So I don't answer. I'm like, why is he phoning me at this time? Then the next man, my cousin, Matthew Terwell, favorite cousin in the world, he phones me now. So video answered. He goes to Sean's restaurant. Now, Sean tells you that my cousin's his favorite customer. He looks after him. He's a VIP. Spends all his money here. But it was Lekker to check the Oaks doing well for themselves in Cape Town, enjoying themselves. It looks like there's a nice vibe going down there in Cape Town. And to be honest, if I ever had to go back to South Africa or be involved in South Africa, I would love to own property in Cape Town and this time of year go back home and visit,
No, that's. I think if I ever had to go back, I would have to Cape Town just because of the nature of how it is over there.
Yeah, well, that's the question I wanted to ask you now. Do you ever see yourself going back? Like to live?
I mean, over the years, I've had thoughts of definitely going back. In recent times, I think it's a little bit more tricky with kids. I mean,
huge.
my lads just started school, bicycle school. It works very different. I'm also learning about the school system here.
Yeah, they're basically in charge, pal.
To be honest, I'm just a little bit worried. I think, what I had, we went to Jeppe, that was great. There you have the best of both worlds. You have your education. On the other side, you have the sports, and that. I mean, that's why we went to Jeppe.
Yeah, of course.
Doing the sports, And my lads, he's not going to have that.
It's garbage.
He's gonna have
club sports.
Yeah,
take him to the club sports.
But it's not the same gees,
But then, what's the problem with saying, "Please God, 8 years time, South Africa's sorted themselves out a little bit. You send your laddie to boarding school." Yeah, whaler.
Yeah, my wife will be. I don't know, man. Well, it's a possibility.
The thing is, I just think to ourselves, that's the one thing we were so lucky about. We were so lucky about the fact that in South Africa, still got some of, if not the best boys' school in the world.
100%.
You look at now, they had rugby tournament in Thailand. My word, Grey Bloem clean pipes. The other Grey PE clean pipes, Oakdale clean pipes. But Grey Bloem won the final by 50 points. And they send their grade 11s. They don't even send their grade 12 guys.
It's not even the real gears.
So, I look at it from a sporting perspective. I agree with you. If I had a little boy running around now, they would be eating me up. I would be thinking to myself, I've got to make a plan. Yeah, I've got to make a plan. Even if it means that I get my latte right till he's 16. And his last 2 years, he goes back for boarding. Because I'll tell you now, there's a guy that's playing cricket now in The Hague. Plays for HCC. His name's Tone Kloppenberg. He's only 18 years old. He spent the last 2 years now at Grey PE. Been the best thing for him. He's a monster. He's always a good cricketer here in Holland. But it's about boys versus men, yeah. The cricket leagues in Holland are childish compared to the cricket leagues back home. And he's now gone and played at Grey PE, one of the top, if not the top 3 cricket schools in South Africa, and playing against men every week and playing the top guys you've ever seen and dominating and doing well. Difficult in the beginning, not batting where you wanted to bat or not doing things you wanted to do. but now really, really dominating. So I think there's a definite that's something that guys, you could actually look at to doing more often for sportsmen, especially cricket, because you're not going to get it here, bro. At school, clubs, you're not going to get that exposure.
Yeah, no, hundreds. I think it's a difficult one, and I think that's probably the big one. I think that definitely crossed my mind. I've definitely planted the seed. My wife said that my lighties need to go to Jeppe at one point, but that's still some years away, right? Like
Especially if Jeppe keeps on going up, but keeps on going.
I mean, that's probably one of the top schools in the country at the moment. As when you look at it from a sort of typical Model C school, right? It's balanced.
It's
Education
unbelievable,
has
but
improved a lot since.
just
both
getting
of
better. It's just getting better.
In sports, they just. And also it's feeding the country.
Yeah, and the best sportsmen are going through now into the country, and they're becoming leaders of industry.
Yeah, exactly. Of all ethnicities and
cultures, backgrounds, whatever you want to look at. Like South African people are very. It's a bit of a laugh though. I find it quite funny because now this woke mindset is spread throughout the world, but they don't realize that South Africa. But South Africa has been getting pumped with political correctness since 1995. So we've heard all this garbage plenty times. You know, to the point where in South Africa we've gotten to the point where it's just a laugh now. The skin color, get over it. Please get over it. Like, let's just have a laugh about it. You know, exactly. My sister's first company she started when she finished school, white trash. Like, just trying to have a laugh. Like, stop worrying about this crap. You know, I'm loving the Springbok rugby side. I'm loving it. Wherever I go, it's just, this is the greatest example of what South Africa can be. The best in the world.
It's a good
in
one.
everything they do.
It's an interesting one because I was actually thinking about it like probably around 3 years ago. I was just thinking how like the UK just, you know, in the way that they run cricket, I was a little bit worried about South African cricket, to be totally honest, and just the way that like, you know, that mentality and the way that they were thinking about things, you know.
It's also selections, bro.
Yeah.
Era.
But I've been, let's just say, pleasantly surprised to see that things have actually panned out quite nicely in that regard, and that we didn't fall behind. I was worried that we were going to fall behind in like the technological and the mentality, and somehow we've, you know, it hasn't gone too far. It hasn't been like, you know, screw the screws in on the quota system and that kind of thing, and they've tried to keep it as balanced and just put the best players on the field, right?
Well, I think that the SA20s had a big thing to do with it. I know Enoch, being the director of cricket, you know, Enoch was a cricketer that got screwed over by the quota system because being a black guy, whenever he got selected for a side, everybody was like, this guy's getting selected for as a quota. But I played against that guy for 5-10 years of my life, batting all-rounder, brilliant all-rounder, got hundreds in the V, dominant, bowled like a champion, and then got screwed over because when he got selected on merit, they said, he's a quota player. So it doesn't help either way. But I'll tell you, the SA20 and AB de Villiers have saved South African cricket. I'm not going to lie. When he got his buddies from the IPL to buy each one of those franchises for $25 million a franchise, that's 6 different teams. So they're pumping 150 million rand into South African cricket. CSA is a 40% shareholder, so do the math. Smith, de Villiers, Boucher are all laughing and swimming in money right now. And
good for them, as long as they're putting
the
back
saddest part for me is that the only guy that's got a little bit of a brain when it comes to what South African cricket should be like is Shukri Conrad, because he's actually been there and done that in the trenches. He's done with this private school mentality. However, I see that they only select private school boys now. Forest and Stillions boys there the other day. Shout out to Enoch. But anyways, you are right. They haven't fallen behind because they need to now take a leaf out of the Springboks book. 100%, because I think Rassi's also started getting into them. Yeah, because at the end of the day,
showing that we can.
It's possible.
It is.
Just get along, put your ego in your pocket.
And I think also like they at least on the rugby, I think what the rugby's done really well is they've shown that they can put guys, they can build the youth of all ethnicities, and they can make those oaks make it.
100%, bro. Merit, bro. Best in the world.
That guy's frightening.
But also he had to leave South Africa to prove to those Dutchies that he's big enough. Because, you know, the Afrikaners back home, jy moet groot wees, otherwise you can go home.
But I think they've got past that now.
But that's it, because why? Rassie was coaching in Wales for a while. Opens your mind, you know. You start looking at things from a different perspective. So
and I really started to see that. I must say, like, and that's an interesting segue into just maybe a little bit outside of sports. I think of like racism completely differently. I think of the way that I use the words that I use and the terms that I use. I think about it in a completely different way. I mean, like we all have these thoughts every now and then, but I try and I've trained myself to not think like that anymore. And I think that's something that Europe has opened my mind to. And I still see racism here.
Oh,
in the
man.
Netherlands, like, I mean, people are getting jobs.
No, I see it.
But I think differently now.
Well, you know what?
Definitely.
I work in a company, a very multicultural company, the European Cricket Network. And I'm a freelancer for them. And at the end of the day, the guys I get to work with, a lot of them are Indian boys, Pakistani boys, and then I've also got a couple of boys from Australia, England, New Zealand, and Germany, actually. Germany as well, Great Oaks. And the thing is that it's amazing how many times I see this first world mentality coming in, and some of it's very positive because it's very productive and it's very driven. But then a lot of the times I see this privileged mentality come in where they'll fight because lunch never arrived on time, but we're getting given lunch for free. And so what? The guy that serves us is an absolute legend. So we're a little bit late. So what? Get over it. You know, so I see both sides of the coin. And the Netherlands, I do see that it can come across as racism, but I also think that they're a bit elitist. So even if you're not, you might not be brown or black,
But they don't know.
but if you don't speak Dutch, they might also look down on you. So it's just the way the world can be. It's not one specific place or another specific place. And, you know, I can give you my opinion and say this is the worst and that's better and this is, you know, good or bad. But at the end of the day, every single country in the world has racism in it. Every single person in the whole world will have a racist or prejudiced thought at some stage in their life, more often than not.
Yeah.
It's just, what are you going to do with that?
No, hundreds.
You know, you're going to try and make the world a better place, or you're going to try and make it a shitter place. It's your call.
I don't know, man. I've thought about trying to change everything to make.
Well,
it
we
a
used to
better
work at
there.
Jeppe, but we coached guys now. I look at the guys that we worked with and we coached. You know, Dean and I were involved in coaching and mentoring guys that are playing professional rugby now in England, for South Africa, in South Africa, in France. Some of the cricketers now playing professional cricket in England. And the bottom line is, but greatest guys.
Hundreds.
You know what I mean? Greatest guys. Didn't need anything.
Quick sisters you didn't really go for, so let's do a little bit of.
I mean, I can jump into that for sure.
Yeah.
Have some, please.
While we wait for the pies.
Thanks.
Some billies, some sliced billies
Oh, great.
from Namibia.
From Namibia. From Nam.
One in battle, yeah.
So each market.
You can keep this coming.
So if you had to say anything to the guys back home now, and when I talk about the guys back home, forget about the guys that you think that don't think about us anymore. Because I'll tell you one thing, D. I know about all the guys that we used to hang with. And I know all of our buddies. And they'll still be there. You phone them tomorrow, they're there, but they're there like kings.
Hundreds.
But think about the guys that we used to coach. Think about the guys we used to mentor. Think about the things we used to say to those guys. I think about Bushy. Often. Carl Haynes, bro. Carl Haynes. Now, think about that, eh? Carl Haynes is his name. Go look him up. He's actually a very beautiful man, according to the ladies. But his nickname was Bushy his whole life. Bushy because he had brown, dark, tan skin. And they used to call him a Bushy as if he was a bushman. And he never cried about it. And he never went and told people, oh, they're teasing me. He just embraced it and was like, yo, whatever. Call me what you like.
I mean, he could also see himself in the mirror, though, to be clear.
Brother, the oak was a model. The oak was a model. The chicks were flocking towards him. He didn't care what you called him. He just laughed it off. The face of his skate, we used to call him. He won a modeling competition, and then they said to him, you're too short. He was the face of his skate. But he was a great bowler and a great cricketer and a great person. And I think like Kyron Erdendal got hold of me the other day. What a legend of a guy as well. And he spoke to me and he said to me about how grateful he was for the upbringing that we had and that we got to spend time together. And I think about all the different, you know, what they're doing with their lives. And it's just incredible. Carl's in China now. He's got a lovely little kid with his wife. They live in China. He's a teacher. He looks after the kids. He makes money. He travels. Kyron, teacher as well. He's in Abu Dhabi now or Dubai or UAE somewhere. He plays cricket. He's married to an American girl. She's a triathlete. Unbelievable. So it's not like we never, Like, they're still not guys that we are in touch with.
No.
But what would your message be for these guys? That's what I want to say to you. Now that you're here, and you said to me today it's taken you a good 10 years, but you feel comfortable now. You have your son and your daughter. You have your wife. You have your family. You have got everybody back home. What would you tell the guys back home? Sitting at Jeppe even.
Yeah, I think firstly, Jeppe Oak specifically, I don't know, even people that I thought, nah, this guy's
Like
right.
righties.
He's gonna be a write-off. He's gonna, you know those guys that you meet in high school, and you're like, it's a write-off. It's over for him. Like, even those guys, I see that somehow they made it in life. You know what I mean? They've come out and they've started jobs, and they've actually created jobs for others as well. They've started businesses, and they found a way, right? And I think being a Jeppe boy, I think that's something that we, maybe even it's just South Africa, I'm not 100% sure, but people just find a way to make it happen and make it work. And I think a lot of people that I went to school with, even the ones that I thought, nah, it's not going to happen for this guy. It's happened. They found a way. But I think the thing that I would say is that I think there's probably it's a tough question. I think there's probably a lot more that we can do in a sort of collaborative type fashion, right? Where we can collaborate. I don't know, you have all these kinds of like South Africans in the Netherlands or Jeppe Boys abroad or whatever it might be. But I think there is a way that we could probably collaborate a lot better and find ways to be more successful in a lot of different things. It's just, I think, trying to find the platform or the way to do
pathway,
that and have those kinds of conversations. Because what I've felt is that, you know, I know for sure I go back home, I say, hey, let's come over for a bra or whatever, they'll come over some beers and whatever the case. But like outside of that, you know, you actually need to put the effort in. But I think the connection gets lost, and I think people need to realize it's not as easy as just 1, 2, 3. And like I think we were chatting about this just before. Like it took me. I've been in the Netherlands 10 years. It took me 10 years to be comfortable from a financial perspective, where I feel like, you know, everything's in place. You know, I left everything at home, left my family, my brothers, like all the opportunities that are, the connections and things in the business world that I could have had.
That's it.
Put
It's
it all
gone.
away,
You
it's
left it there in
gone.
South Africa. Now you
No
think,
connection.
but this guy, Tazi, went to school. He's a well-connected guy. He knows people. I'm in Holland, pal. What do I know? I know a couple of okes here. I don't know if I can trust them. It's not the same. And, you know, people always say, Tazi, thanks so much for teaching me about brotherhood. But brotherhood's something to work on. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you now, because I was also garbage. It's freezing cold. I don't want to leave the house. Nah, come, let's go get a coffee or something. Fuck, you in Rotterdam, I'm in Utrecht, GCM, it's mission. So it's a work in progress. You got to put effort in, and if you want to get that collaboration, like you're talking about, we talk about it a lot, but you got to put the steps into place, and then someone's got to drive it. But it's got to be their number one, because it can't be, I've got my kids and I've got my wife and stuff like that, and then it's difficult. Then it's really difficult. It's got to be about, something's got to have that, like you say, the pathway. What's going to drive that pathway? Or create that pathway.
Well, we're going to have to think about that and maybe talk about this outside and maybe pick some brains on that.
Yeah. All right, I think we've covered everything, yeah. And just wanted to say thank you to my sister. She's bringing us a lovely pepper steak pie.
Superstar.
Yeah, something warm. You haven't taken your gloves off.
No, it's cold.
Yeah, sending
It's cold
love.
again. I don't like the heat in here.
I just
South
want to.
African.
Thanks, cool. Let's just tie this up, yeah.
Yeah, so let's tie it up.
But I just want to.
Tie it up, you tie it up.
I'll tie it up. Yeah, okay, perfect. Thanks, sister, so much
Been a
for
privilege.
allowing us on the pod, talking some smack for the boys. To the Lekker store. Wow, amazing.
Take all the
Here's
lovely snacks and pepper
we
steak
got our
pie.
pepper steak pies. We got our
Really good.
biltong. We got our cook sisters. We're gonna get stuck into it. Really, if you got any chance to come through to Utrecht ever, you got to come through Steinweg. You got the Lekker store here. You got a couple of South African flags.
Short walk from the station.
Short walk from the station. You cannot miss it. Every single oak that knows us, that pulls in here, pulls into Holland, pull into the Lekker store. Have a Lekker time. You can get some caps. You can get some shirts. You got so many things that are going to remind you from home. I actually don't even want to spoil it, but there's a bit of Oros. There's a bit of Skippy.
All gold.
There's a bit of Yum Yum. There's a bit of, what's the other one?
Biltong.
Black Cat puts
You can
biltong,
even- I had a
Penutro.
buoy roll earlier.
Burry roll was the other day. But so if you're missing home or you just want some good South African food, you got to pull in here. And yeah, thanks for listening to us. And yeah, hope South Africa gets better. If South Africa gets better, I come back home. But
We'll
otherwise,
do that one.
pull in, yeah. Thanks, D. I love it. And we'll continue this conversation when we get off here.
Hundreds.
Lekker.